Sick.
The emergence of social media has led to several different phenomenon since its birth. So one of which is of a cause of concern, which is called cancel culture. Cancel culture is essentially publicly rejecting or ending support for someone because they have either said something that is socially unacceptable, or perhaps they just don't agree with your own personal beliefs. Cancel culture is slowly beginning to infect every sort of aspect of our lives and how we communicate with each other. And today I want to share with you three different points on cancel culture and describe a little bit more about what it is, how it's affected us, and what we can do to mitigate it and prevent it from further spreading. To start off, um, let's look at a recent example. Trump and Biden recently had a presidential election a number of years ago in which there was a big conflict surrounding it. In their race, both candidates garnered support and they tried their best to tear down the other side and cause the other side harm, in which they ended up both gathering millions of supporters. Now, the real issue with cancel culture and this scenario happened after our president had been elected. After President Biden was elected, many of the supporters that supported Trump and Biden took to social media to vent their discontent with, with the decision that was made. And how they voiced it is crucial to understanding how terrible cancel culture is. It had lasting effects that we still feel today, and we're only beginning to sort out and to relieve. This started with some supporters taking to social media platforms and doing their best to publicly reject or end support for the other side, essentially tearing down these people who have their own experiences and opinions on this topic of President Biden and Trump. And what has happened here, as they've begun to tear down, they've created unrest and hate. Now, the aftermath of this is that even today, we are still feeling the repercussions of that there is discontent and harm that is being done. We can't seem to come to a conclusion that it's okay to have other opinions, that it's all right to not have to agree with somebody else's experiences and perspective. Now, how do we flip this on its head a little bit and fix this situation? There are several groups that talk about conflict management, and they talk about it in a way that helps us to learn how to resolve the conflicts. Now, one of these groups in particular is called Arbinger, the Arbinger Group, and they publish a number of different types of books that talk about conflict management and how to establish peace and create better relationships. One of their books, which I'm going to reference here, is called The Anatomy of Peace. The Anatomy of Peace essentially talks about how our opinions form and what we can do to come together as a society. Arbinger details in their book that opinions are based off of experiences. As we go through life, we experience different things, and those experiences form the basis of our opinions and our perspectives in life. Now that we have a basic understanding of how we form opinions, how do we share those in a way that is not destructive, that essentially doesn't play into cancel culture and tearing down other people. Well, Arbinger gives us a solution to this as well. Essentially, they teach in their book, The Anatomy of Peace, that empathy is a crucial key to solving this. By having an empathetic relationship, we essentially begin to understand the other individual or the other side's perspective by under by gleaning some information from their experiences. As we put ourselves in their shoes and understand the experience that they have, we begin to see how they formed their opinions. And that little bit of insight allows us to develop empathy and to realize that we can still have a conversation with people and not tear them down, even if we don't disagree with it, or even if we don't agree with it and we have our own separate opinion. Because I have experiences, I have opinions that you may not have. Now, having empathy equals open dialogue. Now, what are some ways in which we can open some dialogue so that we can come together as a society and not tear down each other? We can do this by considering the other's perspective, as well as considering the question, am I wrong? And do I have to be right in this situation? Is it really that important to me that I am right and you were wrong? To illustrate this point, I want to share a personal experience of mine where I had an opportunity to go and serve my church and to spread my beliefs, in which I was often put in a situation where I butted heads with other sides, other religions. Now, in this experience, I had the opportunity to be with another young man who was quite a bit younger than me and who lacked some experience in some areas that I had more experience in and more opinions. Now, in this particular instance, he wanted to go in. We were in Colorado. It was cold. It was in the middle of winter. And he wanted to take the last hour of our day to go and stand on a street corner in the hopes that someone would walk by so that we could go and talk to them and to share our beliefs with them. And he held the opinion that if we were to do this every day for a week, that someone would come by and that we would be able to help somebody. My opinion was that that was not the greatest idea. And so we began to butt heads a little bit about this. And I had the realization, this question that Arbinger proposed came to my mind. Do I have to be right? Or is this an opportunity for both of us to learn and grow a little bit? And in that moment, I decided that it was okay. It was okay for me to not have to be right in this instance. And so for a week, we went out and we stood on a very cold street corner in a city in Colorado and had a very interesting perspective and experience in that we were able to open a dialogue between the two of us and share an idea that, while ours didn't necessarily come to fruition, putting into the perspective of how we talk on social media, we have the opportunity to bring change and innovation and creativity to the table. When we begin to cancel each other, or to put in other words, to reject or to end other people's ideas before they even have the opportunity to sprout and to grow, we are essentially rejecting what makes us human. We try new things, we do new things, and most importantly, we try to talk about new things before we do them. It's important that as we go forward, as we move forward, that we look into the future a little bit. And not only the future, but look into ourselves. Do we have to be right? Can I be more empathetic in this situation? Can I treat this person like a person? That's a challenge I'd like to leave with you guys today. Treat other people like people. Consider the experiences they have, the opinions they have, and what makes them human. We don't always have to be right. It's okay to be wrong. Treat other people like people. Thank you.